Thousands of years ago in the Americas roamed large animals, the last of the American megafauna, from the mighty mammoths to the terrifying saber-toothed tigers and cats, and to the massive ground sloths. They all roamed the land. But as man came through, their numbers lessened, and then they disappeared forever. But what if these animals never disappeared? What if in the jungles of the Amazon the ground sloths still exist, or in the boreal forest of the Yukon? Join us today as we look at the Mapinguari and other ground sloth cryptids.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to
Unknown,
Unsolved
unseen.
Triple U.
Woohoo! Episode 29.
Yep.
We're getting up there in numbers. So if you're a new person, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I'm Frank.
I'm Sage.
And we're going to get into some fun stuff today. But before that, I have a few announcements to make. Are you okay with that, Sage?
Absolutely.
All right, so a lot of these you can find on our Instagram, but April 12th, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Carpendale UFO game is coming. So, if you want to go there, get tickets now. You can also get a jersey. We're going to that game. On the same day in Hagerstown, Maryland at Thick and Thin Brewing is Cryptids and Curiosities. Then on April 26th is Bigfoot and Brews Cryptid Market in Animated Brewing Co. in Coatesville, PA, which we're thinking of going to. On May 3rd, there's the Jersey Devil Fable Festival in Asbury Park, New Jersey. But also there's two other things on the same day. There's the Shadow and Spirits Paracon at the Thomas House in Boiling Springs, Tennessee. We got the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Fest also at the Tennessee Event Center in Townsend, Tennessee. And then moving forward in May, we got on the 17th and 18th, Pennhurst Paracon and Oddities Expo, which Sage and I will be at. That is in Spring City, PA at Pennhurst Asylum. We'll be there those 2 days, not as like any vendors or anything, but just as going there. You excited for that one, Sage?
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, and then that same weekend, if you're in Wisconsin, the Hodag Heritage Festival is going on. That's for the Cryptid the Hodag in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. And then all the way across the country on June 6th and 7th is the Pacific Coast Paracon at Majestic Ventura Theater in Ventura, Canada. Sorry, California. I don't know why I said Canada. And then we got June 6th through the 8th is the Forest County Bigfoot Festival in Marionville, PA. So another PA Bigfoot Fest. And then on June 6th, we got Bigfoot on the River Festival in Sharon, PA. And then here are some that I think are really cool, all three on the same weekend. On June 14th, the Saucers Over Appalachia Festival in Cumberland Square Park in Bristol, Virginia is happening. And then June 12th to 15th is the Windy City Paranormal Fest in Chicago. And if you guys are interested in that but cannot make it, there's a live stream tickets you can get. And if you use code UUU, you will get $5 off the live stream tickets. Once again, that is code UUU for $5 off live stream tickets to the Windy City Parafest. Sage and I don't think we'll be able to make it because some life events going on there, but we will probably be joining on live stream. And we would, if you can't make it, we'd highly recommend you guys do that. Go out and support the Windy City Parafest. Looking forward to that one. And my last announcement in the upcoming events is the Grafton Monster Festival from June 13th to 14th in downtown Grafton in West Virginia. We almost went to that one last year, but something came up. All these I would love to go to, but just have to think of the feasibility of it.
Yeah. Luckily, we have the rest of our lives. So hopefully they keep doing them every year and we can just rotate which ones we choose to go to.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. That will get us to check out most of these at least once in our life. I love these type of events. So that's it that I have for announcements. And well, the only other thing is, if you are on another podcast or anything, and you are looking for collabs, we are currently open. We did get a lot of requests this weekend, and we are still sorting through them. So, all right, Sage. Today we'll be heading down to up to Canada, to the U.S., down to Central and South America as well. You know what we'll be talking about?
If I recall from your intro, giant ground sloth.
Yep. Do you know much about the giant ground sloths or the Mapinguari?
No, only that this is the one that you like really believe still exists, right?
Yes, I will. Well, maybe still exists, but this is the hill I'll die on.
Okay.
Cryptozoology, this is the hill I will die on.
Okay.
So, do you know? So that means you don't know much about cryptid sloths.
Not really.
Well, you're in for a treat today because we're going to go over, as I said, my favorite thing in cryptozoology. So, first, I want to give a background on sloths, a good brief description. Because what do you think of when I say sloth?
Like what is it, two-toed, three-toed?
There's two-toed and three-toed.
Yeah.
You thinking like slow, tree-moving animals?
Yeah, the really, really cute little furry kinds that I reminisce with and would love to just be one.
Yeah, sloths are a lot more than just that.
Well, I assume so, especially if it's ground sloth. That would
Yep.
insinuate it doesn't spend its time in the trees.
Yep. So I'm going to give a good description of sloths in general here, real quick. Oh, what I think is best. Sloths belong to the mammalian superorder of Xenarthra. Xenarthrans are a group of placental mammals that originated from South America. So they're very different than all other mammals in the world. Do you know what any of the Xenarthrans are besides the sloth?
Not at all.
Well, you'll understand that they're weirdos when you see which ones are part of it. Because you got the sloths, armadillos, and anteaters.
Sloths are in the same as armadillos and anteaters?
Yes, Xenarthrans.
Yeah. I knew that anteaters and armadillos were. I just
Yeah.
assumed I guess by the shape of their faces.
Yeah, and also they're like claws. Like their hands are weird compared to other animals. So yeah, they look
Hmm.
very different. So they're interesting looking mammals. Sloths belong to the Folivora group. This includes tree, ground, and aquatic sloths. All of them. Did you know that there were aquatic ones?
Not at all.
Yep, they were. So sloths can be broken down to the following families: Megalocnidae, which are the Caribbean ground sloths; the Megalonchidae, which includes Megalonyx, pretty widespread species. Then there's Megatheridae. This group includes the famous Megatherium, one of the largest ground sloths to ever exist. Like it was like the size of an elephant. And then you got the Northrotheridae, the Bradypoteidae. This is the living three-toed sloth. Slade, Sladotheridae and Mylodontidae is all the families of ground sloths. So very diverse group. But ground sloths sloths in general appeared around 35 million years ago and went extinct in the past couple thousand years for the ground sloths. The last of them lived alongside humans. And sometimes the dates are, this is where you get into cryptozoology on when they actually went extinct. These animals live throughout the Americas, from the frigid north to the rainforests and plains of South America, and even the Caribbean on the islands such as Cuba. They thrived in the trees, land, and even some took to the seas. However, as time went on, new threats emerged. Man entered the Americas. With the arrival of man and the ending of the Ice Age, we saw the decline of the megafauna of the Americas, from the mighty mammoths to the lumbering ground sloths and to the predatory saber-toothed cats. A group some may be familiar with, huh?
Hmm.
What group has a ground sloth, a saber-toothed cat, and a mammoth?
Which group does?
Yeah, Ice Age, the
Oh,
movie.
I was trying to think. You did give me time to think about it.
So they would all officially die out and go extinct. However, some still claim to see all three of these animals. We've addressed the saber-toothed cats. Now we're going on to the ground sloths, and I do have mammoths planned for later. They are on the schedule. So
Is that one you believe still exists too?
no mammoths. Of the three, I have the least faith in the mammoth. I'll go into that when
Oh.
I do that episode, but there's a lot of good evidence to suggest that a mammoth would not still be around.
Didn't they find DNA of one that they were able to like mix with elephant DNA or something?
Ooh, yeah, they're trying to clone to more modify Asiatic elephants into um a woolly mammoth type of animal. Like they just did you hear about the mouse news recently?
No.
They did some gene modifications and made woolly mice.
Hmm.
So they're hoping to apply that to make woolly mammoths again, but more woolly Asiatic elephants. And I mean, I think they also have some DNA of saber-toothed cats because it was only this year that they found a frozen baby Homotherium, which is a saber-toothed cat. Oh no, that
Oh.
was last year.
I was gonna say, I thought I saw that at some point.
Yeah, that's cool. So, Sage, are you ready to get into some of the sightings of surviving ground sloths and what ones may be out there?
Yeah, hit me with it.
Well, I'm going to start by going area by area. I'm going to start up in Canada and work down to South America. And there's going to be quite a few things. It's going to be similar to how I did the saber-toothed cat episode, where I talk about like animal to animal and talk about some of the sightings. However, the saber-toothed cats, I tried to go over almost every sighting out there that I could find. Um, for one of the ground sloths has over 80 sightings, and I'm not going to go over all 80 of them. That
That's a good idea.
that's too much.
I think we would be here just a little too long.
Yeah. So we're going to start up north, Canada, home to the great hockey player Sidney Crosby and
Woo!
controversial music artist Drake.
Not so good.
Oh,
Other music artist, Justin Bieber.
oh yeah, I try and think who else was up there. I could have just said Justin Bieber. So, in the Ice Age, ground sloths such as Megalonyx lived as far north as the Yukon and Alaska. So we do have evidence that they lived up there. So let's get into some of them. First one we're going to go through is the Satochin. This one is reported in the boreal forest of the Yukon Territory. This isn't far from Alaska. It is also known as the Yukon beaver eater as well. It is alleged that the
Beaver
indigenous
eater?
what?
Beaver eater?
Yes, the Yukon beaver eater.
That's really
Some
funny.
claim it eats beavers, but this could also just be explained by if it is a ground sloth, it might be going for things in beaver nests and tearing them up to eat the vegetation. Because ground sloths were not beaver eaters.
Okay.
So back to what the indigenous people of the area have told. They told tales of a creature larger than a grizzly bear and covered in heavy fur. The first reported sighting was from September of 1989. The Canadian First Nation member contacted the British Columbia Scientific Cryptozoology Club, or better known as the BCSCC. The Canadian First Nation member, Dawn Charlie, was interviewed by the BCSCC regarding her knowing of a sighting of the Satochin. She reported that her sister in law's husband, and her sister in law's mother were all fishing together at Tachin Lake. They saw a large creature, almost like a grizzly bear, but with a flat tail, unlike a grizzly, larger claws, and a flat face coming from the woods, and it was charging at them. The husband got his gun and shot at it, shooting over it and missing it. They then rushed to their boat and started the motor and got away. But when they got away, it went back into the forest. Now they could tell it wasn't a grizzly bear, but it was something else. And this was about 4 to 5 years before she reported it, so it's sometime in the mid 1980s that this was reported to the BCSCC. There's a second report that allegedly may have also come from Don Charlie as well, from somebody that she was telling somebody else's story. The report says that a man encountered a smaller one swimming in a lake in Carmack's, Yukon. It was swimming towards his boat. So, what do you do when that happens? What would you do?
If he was swimming towards my boat,
Yeah, a smaller one.
move.
He shot at it. It is unknown if he hit it or injured it, but at least it scared off the animal and it swam towards the shore and ran off into the forest. The animal had a long tail, which grizzly bears in the area do not have.
Why does everybody like just shoot at stuff that they don't understand?
There's going to be more of that in this story.
I feel like we have that in so many stories.
Yeah, potentially. So we're going to go on to another one that might be synonymous with the Satochin, because it's also in the Yukon, and we have the Yukon Therium. I used the Cryptid wiki for this one because apparently the only source is from a Japanese books, and I don't know the books, nor can I read Japanese. Can you?
No, I cannot.
Okay, so we're going to use this source. So this animal is reported in the Yukon area. It is reported as up to 8 meters long, possibly horned, horse-like head, and body like a bear. Some of that, besides the horn, fit the ground sloth description, but it does get weirder. There's reports that it glows during the night, in which we have discussed before that there are no mammals that have bioluminescence like this at all. So that's where this gets weird. The creature may be the same as the Satochin, as I said earlier, due to description and area, and there are 3 notable sightings of the Yukon Therium. The first is from a documentary in 1933 when they were interviewing an Inuit village, and on their 6th day, a member of the village spotted a Yukon Therium. The documentary crew had to leave, though, because this creature signaled good luck and they couldn't have outsiders present within the time of the sighting. So they got kicked out. Also, I just want to say for reference for the rest of this, if I get any of the indigenous tribes or people in the area wrong, sorry about that. A lot of the sources refer to them just as Indians, which is not the correct term, and I'm trying to correct it, but like it's I'm trying to use context clues on what groups there are.
Okay.
The next sighting, we're going to go to 1939 when a plane crashed in the Yukon. During the night, the crew heard screams and saw a white or luminous creature in the woods. In the morning, they found trees trampled in large tracks. And then,
How large?
I didn't really give too much of a description, or I did not write down. I don't think I was very descriptive.
Okay.
Just large tracks. The third and final sighting is from a fisherman who spotted one crossing a river in 1943, and the creature glowed orange and green. So I don't know where this glowing comes from.
Orange and green?
Yes.
Okay.
Now I'm going to move on to in Nova Scotia. There were once tales of giant squirrels by the Micmac Native Americans. These giant squirrels would go and eat bark and teepees. It's theorized that these may have been giant ground sloths, but were last seen in 500 BC. And there's various types of giant ground sloths. Or, well, not all of them were necessarily giant, but there were smaller ground sloths too. So these could have been them, and that's about it for that one. And then there's the Urchow, reported in the Nass Valley of British Columbia. It could be a potential ground sloth, but is described as more camel-like. And that's all that I have for Canada. So you ready to go to United States of America? So down to our home, there's a few cryptids in the U.S. that are thought to be surviving ground sloths or are a possible option for what they could be. Before we go into it, I want to go over one believer in the existing giant ground sloths. Did you know that there was a president that believed that they were still out there, Sage?
A president?
Yes.
No, I did not.
What president do you think it would be?
What time period?
Early America.
Early America? George Washington?
Nope. Thomas Jefferson.
Was he number 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, wait, no. Was John at it?
I'm really bad at history.
I forget the first. I know Jefferson's. Sorry, I know Washington's first. I think Jefferson's
Well, I
second.
definitely know that Washington is first and Abraham Lincoln is 16th.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
And you know who's 10th?
Who?
John Tyler. You know why I know that?
Why?
John Tyler's grandson is still alive.
Yeah.
He owns a winery in Maryland.
That's crazy, though.
Fun fact.
So back to Thomas Jefferson. He believed that animals like the giant ground sloth and mastodon still existed in parts of America, just areas that were not explored at the time. That was something Lewis and Clark were to look for on their expedition.
The Sacagawea?
Is that how you say it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought it was Sacagawea.
Mm-hmm. That's the Americanized version.
Okay. Yeah, so on that journey they were
pretty
supposed
sure
to look...
it's Sacagawea.
Okay. On their journey they were supposed to look for these animals but never found any. He was a firm believer that America still had megafauna. I mean, he's not wrong. We had bison, which are like bison and moose are like the last and maybe grizzly bears. The last of the American megafauna. We killed a lot of them.
That is unfortunately not surprising.
So, despite that, others have seen ground sloths throughout the country over the years. And are you ready to go over some of them?
Yeah.
None of these are, and I'm going to be honest, none of the American ones are good.
Okay.
The first one we're going to go over is the Sherman Beast, which is one not with a lot of evidence to back it up. The only record comes from John Keel, the author of the Mothman Prophecies. An unidentified 15-year-old boy from Sherman, New York, wrote about two unknown creatures. They were large, white, sloth like animals, and they would invade his parents' swampside property between 1965 and the early 1970s. This is the only account of these animals and nothing else. No one else reported them. No one else wrote in about them. Just this one unidentified 15-year-old boy. And
Hmm.
then, along with the white creatures, I'm just going to keep on the white creature track real quick. Some believe that sheep squatch, which is like a sheep Bigfoot hybrid, like Bigfoot with sheep horns in West Virginia, could be a ground sloth. That's just one theory. But sheep squatch. I almost said sheep sloth. Sheep squatch is a whole different topic in itself. So for our next ground sloth, we're going to head to Ruby Valley, Nevada. This one is an interesting one where I read through a very long account. There's only one person that ever claimed this, and it was from a 4chan post.
Mm.
Yeah, but I'm going to say it regardless. In 2013, on 4chan, a user posted about their encounter with a strange creature in the Ruby Valley area. He mentioned that he was out there to explore a ghost towns because he liked doing that, and he went to one in Ruby Valley area. He found abandoned buildings, wells, and mine shafts. He went out there also with his rifle and had taken a decent hike from his truck. He mentioned that one house, for some reason, was very well preserved and undisturbed, and that he had heard nothing around in the area, like no birds, no bugs, nothing. It was oddly quiet. He had ventured there with a rifle for self defense because and also because he quote unquote liked shooting shit. So, a good reason. While he was exploring, he came across a mine shaft at one point. Now, I don't know if you know much about mine shaft, but I think you would know because you know about caves. Cold air normally comes out of caves.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not this cave. Warm air was coming out, and he got within 15 feet, and then an awful smell hit him.
Ew.
And what?
Said ew.
Yep. This was followed by something large coming out of it, and it was 8 to 10 feet tall, slender face, long fingers with large claws on the end, and on all fours and a hunchback, and covered in grayish brown fur. At first, he only saw the fur color and that it was on all fours. The rest of the description comes later from what he sees. The animal then let out a loud scream, startling the person, and he responded by shooting at the animal. He shot 5 times, heard 4 thunks, and missed one shot. The animal then screamed even louder, and then he heard screaming from the hills around him. He ran for his life, and he went back for his truck. While he was running, he could hear some of these creatures chasing him between the trees around him and could see their forms moving. He would shoot at them just to try and scare them off, and would hear them scream louder as he shot and thinks he might have hit some. He, at one point, even fell down and had to scramble to get out, thinking that he was going to die there. So he eventually got to his truck and drove off. But when he was driving off, he could see one on the road behind him, on leaning like propped against a rock, and he got a good look at the animal, and that's where we get the description from earlier.
Okay.
Besides this account, we have no other sightings of these animals in the Ruby Valley area. He said he tried to get more people to go back out there and look there, but besides this, we know nothing else. This came from 2013, and there's no real good explanation for what happened.
2013.
Yeah.
I feel like I missed that. Did you say that earlier?
No, I think I said that earlier. I might have skipped it. So, also in Nevada, it was reported in 1864 an animal that resembled the description of a juvenile ground sloth or smaller species was captured. The story came to light when reprinted in 1964, and nothing more has come from it. Next on our list is The Beast of Boonville. This one takes us to Boonville, Indiana in 1936. Fisherman Ralph Dunn's dog. Sorry, real quick. Trigger warning, death of a dog twice.
No.
So, Fisherman Ralph Dunn's dog was found torn to shreds. His wife saw the large animal. It was larger than a bear and ran off when she screamed. They assumed it must have been an ape at first. And on August 13th of the following year, she saw it again. The residents of the town would then hear loud, blood-curdling shrieks and yells. The people of the town would form posses and try to track down the animal. Apparently, at one point, it mauled a police dog, and that dog had to be put down. So it has killed 2 dogs.
I fucking hate this thing.
Now, on August 18th, a man entered the town and claimed that he and his uncle had captured the creature in Mexico, and it had escaped them. He claimed it was a giant a giant sloth. He just said giant sloth, not ground sloth, but it was a giant sloth. Some locals backed the claims by saying they saw an empty circus truck in the area. A day later, though, the hunt was abandoned, and a month later, it was claimed that it was all a hoax by farmers to scare off people from taking their blackberries.
Seriously?
Yeah, there's nothing to really back up a lot of these, like if the dogs actually were killed or not. There's just sensationalizing it. I don't know.
Oh my god. Okay.
Actual posses were formed to hunt the animal, and it might have just been a hoax the whole time.
That is really sad.
Yeah. So, next we have the Tennessee cave creature. It was reported by a woman named Leslie in 2009. She claimed to have seen a strange creature in a cave in Hamblin County. It had the traits of a Bigfoot and a sloth, and was theorized it could be either. That's all we really have of that one. Not much there to go off of.
Just that?
Yeah, I mean, there's some description of it, but it's like the same as we're seeing. Long claws. It stood upright and might have been more man-like, but it had like the claws and I think tail feature of a sloth, but the other features of a Bigfoot. So who knows? Some of these have very little descriptions to them.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't think that caught your interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah. So, lastly, in 1935, a rancher in the Casa Grande Mountains in Arizona claimed to have captured an unknown animal he referred to as a hodag, a whole different cryptid.
I was gonna say that's not what this is.
Yep. So, his name was Dan Kinzer, and he claimed to have kept it caged up. Another rancher in the area who had been to South America said it was a ground sloth, which he said was still around there, according to him, like at the time. It had no claws, which they thought may have been due to being worn down due to a long trek from Central America. Nothing else came from this story.
I feel like these are just so minimal.
I know. Let's see. Then there's a weird creature someone saw following him. I believe it was 2014. It was a doomsday prepper, and he called it a gorp. And then there is the 2011 2012 Appalachian ground sloth, where there were trail cam photos of an animal, but if you look at the animal, it's very clearly just a bear with mange.
Oh.
Now to the Caribbean, if you're ready for that. So we have one in the Caribbean that may be a ground sloth. It's called the Yahoo. Spelled probably that.
Who makes that sound?
Mario.
Okay, thank you.
It's spelled Yeho. This is reported on multiple islands. Some are the Bahamas, Puerto Rico, Cuba, and especially Andros Island, which I don't know which that's part of, but that's where it's mostly reported. These are monkey to bear size and have large claws. Some say they walk upright and can reproduce with human women.
Ew.
But that may be more
No.
the folklore.
No, thank you.
They live in the woods and make a Yahoo! Like noise, hence the name.
I hate it.
It is theorized that they could be small species of sloth, as there is some evidence that some smaller species may have made it to European colonial times that lived in that area. So these were like tree sloths, but bigger. And there's, I guess there's some remains that are found alongside stuff of like European pigs that were there. So some of them may have made it to the 1500s.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you ready to get to Central America?
So that was the only sighting in the Caribbean?
That's the only creature. I mean, like I don't have really many specific sightings. It's more of a folklore creature. Like goes in and like seduces women and stuff. I believe, and like yeah, I don't know.
I don't like it. I don't like the word seduce.
So sometimes a lot of these folklore sightings, folklore animals also coincide with like a potential real animal, and they might like coincide or mingle in legend.
Okay.
So in Central America, there's a cryptid known as cave cows,
You
a more nicer name.
know what
But
this reminds me of?
what
The cows that you can fight in Minecraft dungeons. That are
the mushrooms?
yeah, but there aren't there some in caves?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, you could find them in caves in some of the ancient hunts, but
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and there you could. Yeah, so we're going to cave cows. An interesting name, I have to agree. These come from the country of Belize in the Yucatan Peninsula, or yeah, I believe it's on the Yucatan Peninsula. Um, the first reports come from the 1880s. The accounts come from archaeologist Thomas Gann telling of an encounter from French naturalist Francois Frank Blancaneau. Blancaneau? I don't know. I'm just going to call him Frank.
Okay.
It's a good name, I must say. Frank and his servant Joe were resting in a savanna near El Cayo. Something was among the palm trees nearby, and Joe went to investigate. And while he was there, Frank heard Joe scream and ran to find out what happened. He found Joe had been mauled and said the devil himself had gotten him. He died shortly after from his injuries. Frank would then track the animal by its obvious tracks that weren't like any other animals. He tracked it to a cave and then went to El Cayo to get a group to go back and look for the animal, but he couldn't find where the cave was anymore and he lost where he had tracked it to.
Mm.
Unfortunate. Then in 1932, the archaeologist Thomas Gann, who we just mentioned, who told the one tale, was on a British Museum expedition, probably to go loot from other countries like how they always do. The British Museum. Don't ask a woman her age. Don't ask a man his salary. Don't ask the British Museum how they got all their artifacts.
Mhm.
He was along the Azul River when he spotted a large animal with a black shaggy fur on all fours, and it was running through a swampy area. He couldn't see the face of it, but there aren't large animals like that in that area, unless it's a ground sloth. Then in 2015, 2015 recently, a couple honeymooning in Belize had an encounter with an animal their guide called a cow, but it wasn't our traditional cow. They never saw the animal, but saw the trees moving, and from what they had seen, it had to be a large animal. They don't know what it was. Now, that's all for Central America. We have the cave cows there. We have the Yahoo in the Caribbean, the random beasts in uh, United States, and then the Satochin Yukon beaver eater and Yukon therium in Canada. So a good amount of ground sloth, but the amount that we see there pale in comparison to what's cited in South America.
Yeah, that makes sense. Or I think about like the sloth that we saw at the aquarium. Like, doesn't that don't they like the warmer weather? So
Yeah.
wouldn't that make sense that there's more in South America?
Well, it really depends on which ones. I mean, you look at Megatherium, that was a large elephant-sized animal. You look at Megalonyx, it was smaller but like shaggier fur. It was built for climates like that. I mean, there were ground sloths were a huge diversified group that only recently died out. And you had some swimming in the ocean.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
So with South America, it's this land was more diverse in the sloths that lived down there. They originated from this continent, and with the vast amount of wilderness there, it is our best chance to have an actual living ground sloth, in my opinion. So ready to get into it, Sage?
Hit me with it.
All right. First, we're going to go down to the Amazon basin and go for the most famous case of potential surviving ground sloth out there, the Mapinguari. Have you ever heard of this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've heard you mention it.
Yeah, the Mapinguari is a cryptid in Brazil, Venezuela, and possibly Paraguay. It originates from folklore of the indigenous tribes of the Amazon basin, and this is where some people get a bit iffy on what it is. So it is described as an awful smelling animal, bulletproof, large, hairy, with large claws, and both bipedal and quadrupedal locomotion. So it could be on two legs or four. In folklore, like this is where I get a bit more unrealistic, but sometimes it's described as a cyclops that stands on 2 feet with a mouth in its chest, and like that's something that really can't exist in
With a
my
mouth in its
yes.
chest?
So like its head is just an eyeball, or no head and just an eyeball up top and a mouth in the chest.
That sounds literally horrific.
It's almost like a figure in Chinese mythology, Jing Tian, whose head gets cut off and his mouth and face are put in his chest.
I hate every second of that visual.
He's a cool god in Smite.
Gross.
But yeah, so that's one of the descriptions. This is where some people argue a lot. Like in the cryptozoology subreddit, it gets argued a lot about what the Mapinguari is. And it might be one of those things where it became a catch-all term for various different cryptids. Let's get into some of the traits of it. Well, actually, some of the stuff that people report, because there are many sightings have been reported over the years. Most don't have the cyclops and stomach mouth features. David Oren, an ornithologist, compiled over 80 reported sightings and 7 reported killings on Mapinguaris in 2001. He also, sadly, David Oren only passed away last year, but he was basically one of the leading experts in Mapinguari study. I'm going to go over some of these sightings, but not all of them, because I don't think you want to be here for 80 sightings and 7 deaths of Mapinguaris. Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to be here for that?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah?
You want to be here for all 80 sightings?
Yeah, of course. I'm
Y-
so fascinated.
Really? Yeah, that's what I thought. Going over some, but not all. And cryptozoologist Bernard Heuvelman, who is the father of cryptozoology, and Ivan T. Sanderson theorized that the Mapinguari was actually more of an unknown primate, either a monkey or Bigfoot like animal. But Oren's the one in 1993 who proposed that the ground sloth hypothesis from the accounts he was hearing. And that's where the issue is, because we have various descriptions of the Mapinguari, where some are more ape-like and some are more sloth-like, and that's where we, get into this debate on what it may be, or might be a giant anteater too, is what some say.
Giant anteater.
Yeah,
Don't they have like really long noses?
yes. I'll go into more of that in the theories, but so I'm trying to keep everything I'm talking about here to the sloth-like Mapinguari accounts.
Okay.
So, um, the Mapinguari was only referenced starting in the 19th century. We're going to, as I said earlier, sorry, I have it in the script here. I said earlier, we're going to focus on sloth-like reports. There are two different types of footprints: the round ones that are pestle tracks, and the ones that look like backwards human tracks with 4 toes. And if you don't know this, ground sloths kind of walked on their feet weird as fuck. If you look at how ground sloth walked, it was weird. Their tracks are weird. We have no animal like it.
Really?
Yeah, a ground sloth, like, I have to show Sage. Its feet were like this.
Okay.
It walked very weird on its feet, like almost on like the side of them, if I'm pretty sure. And its
What do
arms are
they
like,
call that? Like pronating?
I think so. I always forget
Okay.
pronated, not pronated. I don't know.
Oh, there's like pronate, and then there's the other one.
Yeah, I used to know it better when I was, oh, I still am big into dinosaurs, but because dinosaur arms point inwards always, they don't point down, which Jurassic Park gets wrong a lot.
Hmm.
But sloths then on their front arms, I believe, knuckle walk, or might have had them at an angle too.
Okay, I think when you were saying that we don't know have anything that walks like it, I was picturing the front legs because I was thinking like, isn't that like that was part of the evidence for the Yeti is that they knuckle walked.
Yeah.
We
Now I
have
think
other animals that
actually,
Knuckle walk.
I think anteaters might walk similarly to ground sloths, so we might have something like it. But like Xenarthrans have their yeah, I think anteaters the best. So we have an example because Xenarthrans have very different structure,
Okay.
but it's weird. It's weird how some of these animals walk. Like, all right, Sage, here's a picture. Can you see this well? Do you see its feet? How they're like kind of curved
Mm.
inward?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost bow-legged, like.
Yep. So it's weirder than what you typically expect from an animal, um, and that's just part of the issues with an animal like this. Like we know that this cryptid could be an extinct animal, but it also is one that we don't have many of its kind like it still. Like the saber-toothed cat, we know what cats look like. Like we've seen plenty of other similar cats that we can compare and contrast. But the modern day sloths are nothing like a ground sloth. They're very different. So now back onto the Mapinguari on what it's like. The feces of the Mapinguari are also described. They are similar to that of a horse's and contain traces of vegetation and stems. The only other animal with similar poop is the tapir in the area,
How do
but
they know it's not the tapers?
here it is. Tapirs tend to poop in water. The Mapinguari poops almost exclusively on land.
Ew.
Yep, poop water.
Who's dissecting
I don't know. Mapinguari enthusiasts.
this?
Maybe people who are tracking down animals. I mean, that's valuable stuff to know if the poop's fresh or not.
I guess you're right.
So now I mentioned it walked bipedally and quadrupedally, but for further information on it, when it walks bipedally, is more unsteady, and it apparently mainly walks on its all fours, like quadrupedally. It is reported to be nocturnal and crepus- crep- crepuscular. I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's being out around twilight, like the evening.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, dusk. I mean,
Why couldn't they just say that?
because there's a funny word for it.
Okay.
Animal that it's an animal that feeds on bacaba and babasu palms. It twists them to the ground and tears them apart to eat the palm heart and berry-like fruits. They live in the Andean foothills in the summer and around February come down as winter approaches. Because remember, we're in the southern hemisphere, so winter and summer are swapped. And they occasionally travel in pairs. They are known to make two types of noises: a loud roar like thunder, or a human like cry, which we've kind of heard from the North American stuff and what's it called? The Canadian ones. Well, yeah, North America. I meant to say United States and Canada, but I said North America and Canada.
Hmm.
They're the same thing. And some are also claim that they kill cows and take out their tongues. However, almost every single sloth that in existence is herbivorous, so I don't know where this comes from. Maybe they killed cows out of aggression and something else ate the tongues.
Aren't cows herbivores too?
Yes. I mean, herbivores kill herbivores. Have you ever seen an elephant fight a rhino?
No, Frank.
I have seen an elephant fight a rhino. It took its tusk and it impaled the rhino. The elephant was also a musk because its thang was out. I've now seen an elephant thang on a video.
I'm so happy for you.
I've not. But elephants go through a thing like every year where they want to mate and they become extremely aggressive and they will attack other nearby animals. They become very territorial, wanting a mate. So I did watch a video of an elephant because a rhino was nearby. It fought the rhino and probably killed it.
Well, I'm assuming if you freaking spirited on a tusk.
Yeah. Also, think of hippos. Hippos kill a lot of animals. They're herbivores. Have hippos kill like anything that's by them?
Yeah, hippos are mean.
But they're herbivores.
They got big bite force.
Yeah, it's insane teeth and tusks. So, you ready for me to go over a few of the sightings of the Mapinguari?
Mm-hmm.
I could. There's so much information on the Mapinguari, but I'm going to be honest. It took me so long to research all this and write this down. And I'm running out of time. I probably could have done this episode more justice, but I won't go through it. Yeah, in 1913, a man named Leoncio allegedly encountered one, and he shot it in self-defense, hitting it in the navel and arm and killing it. In 1930, a man named, I'm going to butcher this, Inocencio, was exploring the Urubu River with 10 friends. They were hunting a group of monkeys and became separated. He slept in a tree during the night, and something approached his tree. It walked on 2 feet and made loud cries. He shot at it, and it retreated. The next day, he found a trail of blood, and that was it. Then, in 1937, there were reports of a Mapinguari killing over 100 cows and taking out their tongues, and this happened over a 3-week period.
Why would the Mapinguari take out the tongue? Like, what is the
Uh,
point of that?
some animals find other parts more delicious of other animals.
Is it not an herbivore though?
Yeah, and it probably, if it was killing the cows, I think something else would take the tongues. But, for example, killer whales do a similar thing where they kill certain animals, only take a certain part, and swim off then. They like great white shark livers are very delicious to them, and then they'll leave the rest of the shark be.
Even though they're like massive and they need a lot to fuel them.
The killer whales can kill whatever they want.
How many sharks do they kill a day?
I have no idea, but do you know about the area where great white sharks jump out of the water and catch seals in the air?
Mm-mm.
They don't really do that much anymore, if I'm not mistaken, there, because a pair of killer whales started killing the sharks and taking their livers, so sharks no longer go there.
Nice.
Yeah, that is terrifying also to think of.
Hey Siri, how many sharks a day do killer whales, kill?
Okay, I found this on the web. For how many sharks a day do killer whales kill? Check it out.
Thanks.
What's Siri telling you?
It's just talking about the two orcas
That
that were
taking
attacking.
livers?
That were taking stuff along the coast.
Yeah.
Like 19 sharks or something.
Yeah, that's a lot of great whites.
That was funny. Killer whale, killer shark.
Whale, killer whale.
Yeah. Whale, killer whale, kill.
All right, back to this. In 1975, a mine worker and hunter named Mario Pereira de Souza encountered a Mapinguari. It came at him on 2 legs, but unsteadily it was walking on 2 legs, making a loud screaming noise. Souza ran from the creature. When asked about it later, he did describe the animal as being a giant ground sloth.
Interesting.
So that is what he said it looked like. Now, there's some various other sightings. One in the 1980s. So this one came in the 1980s. It was from a tribe in Brazil. So they had scared off the mother of 2 infant Mapinguaris, or as they said it, sloths. And they then took in the 2 babies and started feeding them bananas to help them grow. But they eventually released them. You know why?
Why?
They started to smell. They were stanky.
Stanky.
And if you notice one thing through quite a few of these, ground sloths apparently smell awful. That's a similar thing we keep getting at. But then over the years...
Is there like a theory on why?
Nope. Not really.
Okay.
Yeah, so years after, people still report Mapinguaris. The last sighting comes from 2014, and I didn't really write that one down, but they did see one in a group of men saw one in 2014 in Brazil. They're berry pickers. So we go from the late 1800s to the 2014, seeing Mapinguaris throughout Brazil. We're going to move on then to Patagonia now for more giant ground sloth encounters. Ready for these ones?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there are a few giant cryptid ground sloths in the area, such as the Elangasan, the Lobo Toro, and the Sukaroth. All of them are described similar in looks to ground sloths. One interesting fact is that the Sukaroth carries It's young on its back, and it was reported to live by riverbanks, has a loud roar, and will be hunted by indigenous tribes for their pelts or cloaks. There's a belief, though, that by the tribes in the area that the creature is now extinct. So now we move to Paraguay, where there is a creature known as the Grand Bestia. This one is one that actually a famous figure is linked to. What famous figure do you think could be linked to ground sloths?
The famous figures linked
Yeah.
to Groundhog?
He's regularly linked to ground sloths because of his expeditions, and then in this cryptid case, Charles Darwin.
Oh my, I had no idea.
Yeah, when he did a lot of his evolution stuff, like he looked at fossils like Glyptodons, Megatherium, Toxodon. South America is where he did a lot of his work.
Oh, interesting.
So Charles Darwin was told about and reported that there were some still around at the Grand Bestia. He believed that if any were still around, that they would be surviving Megatherium, but if one did not exist, it must have been on the basis of an actual living Megatherium being sighted at some point and it being passed down. So Darwin was told that they were still around and was told that about one, young one that was captured. The captain of the HMS Beagle, which was the ship he was on, believed that it may have actually been Yakwaru, which is a cryptid saber-toothed cat we mentioned on the cryptid saber-toothed cat episode. But Darwin thought this young one was probably just a tapir.
Okay.
So yes, tapir did come back up. So now we go to the Peruvian Amazon, and we have the Sagame. It lives in the Amazon by the Vicabamba mountain range. It might just be a different name for the Mapinguari too. This animal is described as a large sloth-like animal. It is cow-sized and can be on two legs or on all four. It is hairy, with a long face like a horse, or sometimes described more anteater-like. So its face would be longer like an anteater, and the overall body would more be anteater-like, and it was an aggressive animal that was known to be avoided. One was sighted at a distance in 1976, and in 2001, the local tribes still insisted that they were around. Sadly, in 2011, they said they were no longer being seen. So 1976 sighting, 2001, local tribes said they were still around, and then in 2011, the local tribe said they were no longer being seen, which is going to come to one of my sad points later, but I'll wait for that. The next we go to Ecuador with the Ecuadorian ground sloth. It is claimed to live in caves and eats vegetation. It was spotted once in the 1980s, and its description given matches that of a ground sloth. Not much else on it. And then this one connects with actually something else. I didn't write too much on it. I read a little bit on it, just for time's sake, because this one's confusing. It was a rabbit hole. There's claim that there are some ground sloths in New Zealand and maybe China. And this is because it's claimed that China discovered. This comes from cryptozoologist Richard Moyerhead about how China discovered the New World in 1421 from a book he had read from a British, I think it was British submarine commander who wrote in 2002 this book. So it claimed that Moyerhead claimed that they had found ground sloths and actually took some back with them to China, and two of them had escaped in New Zealand and created a population there that people had claimed to see for some years. This would have been the early British explorations in New Zealand too. And there's not really much to back up this one besides that. That one's a rabbit hole I didn't go too much into. There's also some of it comes from a book I do not know. Lastly, there's a theory that some of the lake monsters in Patagonia, which are quite a few, are actually surviving aquatic sloths like Thalassocnus, which is a type of sloth that took to the seas and was aquatic. And there's belief that some of the lake monsters in South America, specifically Patagonia area, are ground sloth or aquatic sloths. Sorry, there's some smaller sloths that are like, what's it called? I'm trying to think of the word, like cryptid tree sloths in like the Chile area, and other ground sloth cryptids in the Argentina area too. And that's about it for the type of cryptid ground sloth that's out there. What'd you think of all those?
I'm amazed that there's so many that cross so many different like continents and spaces.
Yep.
Like even and latitudes. Like hot areas, cold
Well,
areas.
ground sloths were very diverse and very widespread, and their extinction is, in my opinion, one of the very tragic.
Yeah, and it's the sightings that we know of like today are pretty consistent. Like
Yeah.
other than the weird ones where they said it glowed, which I
Yeah.
didn't agree with. But like it seems like there's a lot of consistency. Whereas like when you think about like the Yeti and stuff, even my evidence on that, there wasn't as much consistency with that.
Yeah, that's one thing David Oren, the ornithologist, started to notice with Mapinguari tales is when he started compiling them all together about how a lot of these ended up being like ground sloths, what was being described.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go into some of the theories of what these may be.
Okay.
So, actually, before I get into that, I'm going to get into another interesting theory, the slothfoot theory. So I've seen two different things online about slothfoot. One is that one of the names for this ground sloth in America is slothfoot, and that some Bigfoot sightings actually might be either a giant ground sloth or that like the slothfoot theory is that big one of the things Bigfoot could be is a giant ground sloth, and that we're just mistaking it for a large hairy man-like animal.
Well, I mean, I guess I could understand where that comes from, but I feel like Bigfoot is like a genuine bipedal creature, and these guys look like even if they are bipedal, they lean more.
Yeah, but I guess there's like a sighting in Florida of a skunk ape that was more running on all fours and almost more sloth-like, which I don't think would. I don't think you have a sloth and a giant ground sloth hiding in Florida, but there are other Bigfoot sightings out there where some people may think it actually might be a ground sloth instead.
What do you think is more plausible?
I don't know.
Okay.
I I I don't know where I stand on the Bigfoot thing because like sometimes it's some things in my opinion are crazy, some aren't.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. But yeah, so that's the Slothfoot one that I meant to mention in North America. But on the greater thing on theories of what these could be, we'll go over some. So the first we're going to go is just the usual. It's folklore. It's just legends that people are exaggerating and people are just trying to, claim things are certain things. Then you have the hoax avenue where people are hoaxing this, which the Sherman Beast one in New York, that one just smells like a hoax to me.
Mhm.
Then you got that these could be misidentified bears, possibly bears with mange, like that one I mentioned,
Mhm.
where you look at the picture. I'll have to show it to you, but it's very much obviously a bear with mange. It's not
Would not be the first time that an animal with mange got
chupacabra.
yeah, I was gonna say got mistaken for some kind of cryptid.
And an animal with mange looks very different, but that's one thing. It could be a bear with mange, or they could just be bears in general that people are misidentifying. There's, it could be a tapir, a bear, not really many other animals that could fit the description like those two, but it could be those. Which, have you seen a tapir?
I feel like I
I'll show you a picture real quick. But you obviously know what a bear is. And in all these areas, except for maybe Central America, bears exist because there is the spectacle bear that lives in. I'm trying to think of the in South America. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. Last like living relative of the short-faced bear.
mm-mm.
And then the bears that live in America. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a tapir.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
They get a fair size. And then you have the spectacled bear.
Did you see um Min's most recent drawing?
No.
She drew Bear 399.
What bear's 399?
He's like the one of the most famous grizzly bears from
Katmai.
yeah, from Katmai. He
Okay.
was like one of the bears that was on the like wildlife photos or whatever.
Oh, that's cool. Now, that's actually really remarkable. Back on spectacled bears, that's a spectacled bear.
Okay, they have really cute faces.
I know. If not friend, then why friend shape?
Exactly.
So that is some of the theories. And in America, it could be grizzly bears, black bears, possibly even a moose that someone's misidentifying. But it's, there's possible misidentification of current existing animals, is what some people think it may be. But a lot of these, we're talking about a large, like these ground sloth sightings vary in size and they're very hairy animals every time. That's one thing we see a lot. The tapirs are not hairy animals. Bears are, so that's where it is, but tapirs are not. And bears and sloths are fairly different alike, and these people know what sloths look like. Their claws are different, like they got these giant ass claws.
Mm-hmm.
Or they could also be misidentified anteaters, so I forgot that too. And then on to other explanations. Some people think, you know how I said that some Bigfoot may be ground sloth? Some people think that some ground sloth might be Bigfoot. Goes both ways.
Okay.
Or
This Bigfoot's just leaning over a little bit more than it should be.
yeah. Or it could be an unknown giant ape, which is the other. But apes don't have claws like that.
What do you think is scarier? Unknown giant ape, Bigfoot, or giant ground sloth?
Unknown giant ape, I'd say.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too.
But that's going on with theories. And then there's various prehistoric animals it could be. Now, the Yukon beaver eater, for example, because it's been seen swimming.
I cannot. I can't get over that. And if anybody else like has a not so PG-13 mindset, hearing the term beaver eater is just so bad. I cannot handle it.
Want me to call it the Saytochin then?
Sure. Wait, how do you spell that?
Saytoechin.
Okay. I'm just curious.
Saytochin or Cytochin? I would say that's what it is. But that one is theorized. It could be a giant ground sloth, or it could be a castroides. You know what castroides is?
Not at all.
Giant beaver.
Okay.
Giant extinct
So
beaver.
it's either a giant beaver or it's a giant beaver eater.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why are you making fun of the Yukon beaver eater?
Because beaver eater's weird.
My goodness gracious. Why you're a hater. Hater on the eater.
Eater.
So going on from other theories for the prehistoric animals, it could also be a prehistoric short-faced bear still around, which that one I just don't feel is likely. It could be then what I think is a prehistoric ground sloth, whether it be Megalonyx, Megatherium, or Mylodont. And this is for all the ground sloths out there, because those are the three most common ground sloths that are named, but there's others too. But that's what a lot of the ground sloths may be theorized is any of those three or other ground sloths, because they were a large varied group.
Okay.
So those are the real theories of what it could be. Now, what do you think it is?
I'm partial to believe that it's an sloth.
Do you think it's still around?
Yeah. What's the one that starts with an M?
Mapinguari.
Yeah, that.
That's the most famous one that people talk about.
It does. I can understand why you think this is probably the most plausible one still existing. It also like this. I feel like we have a world where like this is an animal that could still survive in our ecosystems.
Yeah, because
Like,
we're
some of
talking
the
about more
cryptids were, like-
unexplored areas.
Yeah, and like some of our cryptids were like, well, like would they be able to sustain life like based on their food, like things like that. I think this one, like I think they would have the opportunity to be able to like continue to exist without human intervention.
Yeah, no, I agree. My thoughts on it is I don't have much faith in the Canadian ones.
Yeah, I think
Or
that's
the-
my only thing is like just
Canadian and US ones I don't think are around. I
no,
think,
but South America makes a lot of sense.
yeah, South America, I like the Belize cave cows. I think that's a decent one.
I think that's funny too.
But those are the ones. I mean, we do know that sloths also did live in caves because they went deep down. Because I forgot to mention some of this stuff I meant to, and that's part of my notes were a bit disorganized. We have a lot of evidence of what ground sloths did. Like there are caves in South America, North America that have been. We can tell that they were carved out by sloths.
Is that because of like the claw marks?
Yep, claw marks and finding their remains. We have found them with like preserved fur and other parts of them preserved,
Wow.
and we also know that some of them had like osteoderms, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So they did have kind of armored like skin.
I was gonna say osteo's bone, right?
Yep.
And then derm is skin. So bone-like skin.
Yeah. So some of them actually had like mylodontid ones, which is one of the ones that could be a um current cryptid, had small bony deposits like in their skin. So it was like protection, like armor. One thing that a lot of Native Americans and other people mention is that they're bulletproof or arrow proof,
Mm,
which some of them do have armor.
okay.
So I'm thinking that my belief is that in South America and Central America, these animals did exist. If they exist now, a lot of these ground sloth cryptids, it's either in low numbers or not at all. But I think in the 1900s, 1800s, ground sloths were still around in pocket populations and just not in large ones anymore. Similar to my belief on the cryptid saber-toothed cats. I think there's a good chance we missed out on an opportunity seeing them because one thing I noticed is some of the earlier sightings, like people acted like these animals were real. They were here. It wasn't like a debate on like whether or not it existed, but they were.
Why is it called a cryptid then?
Well, because science doesn't recognize it. Science still recognizes that they went extinct about like 8 to 10,000 years ago,
Okay.
and that none made it past.
And the most recent sighting was that one that was in
2014, I believe, is the most recent sighting.
Okay.
No, 2015. There's one for one of them, but yeah, that's the most recent. That 2015 was cave cow honeymoon, and then 2014 for the Mapinguari. There might be other sightings we don't know about, but to some of the tribes, these animals were very real. And that's why I think that they, I don't know if they're still around anymore. No one's going to want to care about looking for a cryptid ground sloth. It's it's not Bigfoot. It is not your Finding Bigfoot type thing.
Yeah. I think you'd have to. This is like such a niche thing that you'd have to be like really into just this one to want to hunt for it.
Yeah.
Whereas like Bigfoot, I just think there's so many. It's just so widely spread, widely known.
Now, Josh Gates did go down to explore for the Mapinguari one time.
Really?
Yeah. And he has something that I think is I like what he said. The mouth on the stomach, he thinks it's just people whenever the animal goes up on its back that they're seeing just the different color of the fur and misidentifying and thinking there's a mouth there.
I mean, that could make sense.
Yeah, so that is, that's the possible theories of what the Mapinguari and other cryptid sloths may be. I'm a firm believer that they made it to recent
Do they
history.
have a pouch?
No, that's marsupials.
Oh, okay.
Marsupials and Xenarthrans are both very closely linked to South America, but over time, the marsupials died out there, besides possums and I think a few others, and they moved to They were left in Australia to thrive. Xenarthrans thrived until the Great Biota Exchange from North and South America, where their numbers did not do as well.
Okay. I was just curious because like I'm wondering if maybe the pouch, the way a pouch is shaped, like could look
No,
like a mouth.
not that I know.
So
Yeah,
that makes
so
sense.
I'm a firm believer. That's the hill I die on. Is that ground sloths made it to recent history, if not still around. No one's ever going to go search them because no one cares enough. You're also looking at the entire Amazon basin. That's a huge, huge swath of land.
And dangerous.
Yeah, it's a
Dangerous,
dangerous
dangerous.
swath of land from venomous snakes and spiders
And ants, like
to
fire ants and shit.
fire and bullet ants,
Yeah.
anacondas and caimans and jaguars.
Yeah, and I mean it's kind of like what we talked about with the Yeti, where like scaling the Himalayas is just not plausible
Mhm.
to like be able to truly search for it, which gives it so much space to be able to exist like without
The
human knowledge, and I feel like that's the same with the Amazon.
the Himalayas are huge, and there's other like pockets in the Himalayas, like jungle pockets, where they think that a Yeti-like animal might be, but no one's going to investigate there too because we think of it being up on the mountain.
Yeah, I
But
just think that there's some like there's just a lot that kind of gives cover to
yeah,
an animal like this, despite the fact that it's large.
yeah, and the funding needed to explore a large area for an animal like this is absurd.
Yeah,
It will never get funded, and so we'll just be
which
left
is
asking the
sad.
same questions: Do these sloths exist? Is the Mapinguari still a surviving giant ground sloth? Is the Yukon beaver eater actually a ground sloth, or does it really exist? Were the Sherman beasts just tall tales? Did that 4chan post have any truth behind it?
I freaking hope not.
That one sounds interesting.
For 4chan.
And we'll just have to think and wonder the questions. If any of you somehow are rich billionaires that can fund an expedition, then go for it.
Lend Frank all of your money so that he can go look for the
So I can hire somebody
giant
to look
ground
for
sloth.
it.
Nah, he wants to do the work himself.
I would love for us to somehow be able to clone ground sloths because we have their preserved fur, and I believe we have DNA. But you know what the issue is? When we want to clone a mammoth, we can use an Asiatic elephant because they are same size and similar.
I'm assuming there's not anything that's close to giant
I don't
ground
know.
sloth.
I think anteaters are very far removed,
Fair.
and think of the size of our current day sloths. We're talking cow to elephant sized animals.
Does it have to be bred to something that is in the same
That's
family?
the current only way we can do it.
Okay.
Unless they can figure out artificial wombs.
They can't Jurassic Park this shit.
No. I don't think that's really realistic.
Darn.
Sadly, but yeah, that's there aren't many options. I would love to see a ground sloth. Because I'll be honest, when it comes to my favorite prehistoric animals, Pachyrhinosaurus is my top, and it's a dinosaur. But when it comes to mammals, I have to go the mammoth and Megatherium are my two favorite. I fucking love American megafauna. Ice Age animals. Woo!
This whole time it's just been leprosy.
Oh, we're back on Sid the Sloth going, leprosy.
Yeah.
The L word.
Oh no, I think he has the L word. Oh, I know it. Leprosy. No. Love.
But yeah, if anyone ever meets me and gets into this conversation, I will go on for a while about why I think ground sloths are still around. Sage, I think I'm going to get to my conclusion here, unless do you have any other final thoughts on them?
Nope, I'm all good.
So, in conclusion, we have throughout the Americas reports of large animals that are resembling those of the extinct ground sloths that once roamed the land. Do they still exist? From all the way to Canada and all the way south to Patagonia, we have heard the tales. We have witnesses, over 80 for the Mapinguari alone. But we don't see many in recent history. Do these animals still exist? Did they already go extinct? They make it farther than we thought they did? We might never know. The Mapinguari and other cryptid ground sloths, I firmly believe, were out there up to recent history, and that we're just waiting to find some evidence of them, unless it's hidden away. But as with fossilization happens, it's not an easy thing to occur. Because fossils from recent history we won't see for thousands of years, maybe millions.
We won't see. We
Yeah.
won't see ever.
Yep.
So
So I think that is it for this. I wish I could go longer on this, but I'm going to be real honest with people. I did a bad job researching this one. I procrastinated, and I probably could have written out a lot more, but there is so much I was becoming a bit overwhelmed with it. I kind
that's
of
okay.
thought I'd have more time to go into Mapinguari and stuff, and then I found the Ruby Valley, Nevada one, and that one I spent like an hour reading through the 4chan post and looking at the descriptions and everything and trying to summarize that. That one kept me for a while, along with the Satochin, also known as the Yukon Beaver Eater. I just say that one just to make you laugh.
I'm never gonna not find that funny.
So yeah, that's the Mapinguari and other cryptids ground sloths. So I'm going to do our wrapping up here, Sage. So if you're liking the podcast and want to hear more, keep looking. Give us a like, follow, subscribe, review, whatever platform you're on. Let us know you're liking what you're seeing, and every little bit helps and goes a long way. We appreciate every little bit of it. So please keep it up if you're already doing it. I see our followers are going up. We're hoping the reviews go up too. And we're also looking forward to in the coming months doing some crossovers and collabs here.
Yeah, we got a lot of fun things coming y'all's way once we get stuff situated.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of this week.
Forward.
If any of you are listening who are people that reach out to us, we are going through all your requests. There's a lot of you.
We've been a little busy.
Yeah. So we'll go through that. But, support us to help make this happen. Go follow us on Instagram, like, comment what your thoughts. If especially on this episode, if you want to comment either on Spotify or on Instagram, your thoughts on what you think this is, we would love to hear it. And then the last thing is the Windy City Pear Fest in the second weekend of June. That will be, well, actually, is that second weekend of June or third weekend? I'm looking here real quick.
I guess I don't know when June starts.
So June 1st is on a Sunday. So is that the first weekend of June?
I would say so.
Okay, so third weekend of June then. If you're interested in going, there will be a
full weekend or the second full weekend of June.
second full weekend.
Third weekend of June.
Yeah. So if you're interested, go.
Beginning?
What?
Sunday, the 1st.
Yeah.
It's a week beginning. Not a weekend.
Ha 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 ha. I'm actually laughing.
I tried.
But if you're interested in going, there will be a link in the episode description along with the show notes on sources. I forgot to mention that earlier. And with that, you'll also find where you can get the live stream tickets. And if you use code UUU, you can get $5 off your live stream tickets. And that is about it that I have. So Sage, are you ready to sign us off here?
I am. So remember,
To look for
the unknown,
the unsolved,
and the unseen.
Bye, guys.
Keep your noses out for nasty smells.
And keep your eyes out in the rainforest.
If you ever go there.
Yeah, true. Tell us if you find ground sloth, please.
And be safe.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.